Hello and welcome to Mentoring the Mentors, an institute that accelerates your learning curve. And this is Meenakshi Narula. Today, I'm going to discuss examination and assessment guidelines along with curriculum for 9th and 10th standard for session 23-24 as given by CBSE. So, my lovely educators, in this video, we shall particularly discuss the science curriculum as you can see on the screen as well. So, we shall talk about first of all, what are the basic guidelines that are given to us for the science curriculum? You know very well, my lovely educator, the subject of the science, it plays an important role in developing well-defined abilities in cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains in children. Now, what are these cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains? We usually call it CAP, as acronym CAP, CAP. C for cognitive domain, A for affective domain, and P for psychomotor domain. And we also remember it by saying 3H. H, first of all, cognitive, H for head, related to our knowledge, and next H related to our heart, affective domain, and the third one, psychomotor, third H related to our hand, as you can see here in the images also. Head, heart, and hand, related to brain, our heart, and our hand. Like whatever we learn, we grasp different kinds of content as our knowledge, and how we use this knowledge to change ourselves, to work for the society, for the community, how it changes us, related to feelings and emotions, related to heart. And the third one is psychomotor, use the same as fine motor and the gross motor skills to do some hands-on activities, hands-on experiments, and also science, the kind of curriculum where we focus on all the three skills: cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. There are other subjects too, but here we are particularly talking about sciences. So, my dear educators, it augments the spirit of inquiry, objectivity, creativity, and aesthetic sensibility of our students. While teaching science, we need to focus on these skills. We need to develop the skill of inquiry. We need to have inquiry based learning in our classes, where children, they should start inquiring, and we should not at all ask our children to cram the content. We should not also regurgitate whatever we have learned in the classes. Rather, we should encourage inquiry based learning. We should ask our children to look into the minute details of the things, analyze them objectively, and come up with the new ideas. So that's how we can encourage them to be creative. We need to focus on their aesthetic sensibility as well by involving them in different sorts of activities. So here you go, my dear educators. Moving ahead, it's clearly mentioned like students to be engaged in the processes. Some of the processes they are mentioned here, like observing, recording, drawing, tabulating, plotting graphs, abstraction, reasoning. These sort of skills to be focused while delivering the curriculum that is given to us by CBSE. We should not at all just be focusing on the book exercise questions, asking the students to refine the answers and write it. Not at all. Our objective is like focusing on the competencies and the learning outcomes. For that, there are different manuals given by CBSE or learning outcomes as well for different competencies. You need to incorporate these things in your lesson plans as well. So, my lovely educators, the curriculum for 9th and 12th standard, it is divided under 7 broad themes, and these themes are food, material, the word of living, how things work, moving things, people and ideas, natural phenomenon, and natural resources. So all the chapters are related to these 7 themes only. So my dear educators, as you know, in 9th and 10th standard, basically in CBSE schools, there is one book by NCERT Science, right? So in most of the school, there is only one teacher who takes up the entire curriculum for the science, whether it is physics, chemistry, or biology. But in most of the schools, like we have different educators so that they will be able to facilitate the curriculum for their respective subjects, right? So it is clearly mentioned like students should be exposed to the experiences based on hands-on activities as well as modes of reasoning that are typical of the subject related to these three branches. I mean, the separate experiments to be conducted in the science labs, you should demonstrate, and maybe the student, they should do hands-on activities and various experiments so that they'll be able to get to know about the learning about the knowledge by doing it, by experimenting. So all the competency and skills that we have just shared right now, we discussed observation, interpretation, reasoning, all these skills to be focused on. So this is very much required, like we need to complete all the practicals that are given by CBSE for this 9th and 10th standard. If we talk about the annual assessment plan, as you can see here clearly on the screen, my dear educators, uh, we it is for 80 and 20 marks, 80 plus 20, 80 for the theory and 20 for the internal assessment. This is annual assessment pattern. So 80 marks paper, the students will be appearing in for the annual exams. For the 9th standard, obviously, we will be conducting in our school the students exam, and for the 10th standard, the exam will be by the board. So for these 20 marks, let us divide these 20 into parts of 5 each. First of all, it is mentioned 5 marks for the periodic test. So as you can see here in the branches, I have clearly mentioned you will be taking 3 tests before midterm exam, and before annual, that is post midterm. You can also say it like that. And there would be, you can also term it as like periodic test or the unit test. In our school, usually we have 2 periodic tests or the 2 unit tests in a year, and we conduct 1 midterm or the half yearly exam. So in total, we take 3 assessments apart from annual exams. So you have to take best of these 3 assessments and then calculate the marks out of 5. I mean, you have to provide the weightage out of 5 for the student's performance in these 3 exams. So by chance, any child misses any one of these 3 exams, so obviously you will be considering the rest of the 2 exams. And if any child has appeared in all the 3 exams, you have to take the best 2. For calculating the same, my dear educators, make sure you should have the maximum marks accordingly. Most of the schools, they have unit tests for 40 marks and the midterm for 80 marks. However, there are no such guidelines given by CBSE. That is entirely up to you. CBSE has clearly mentioned in the initial pages of this curriculum, like make sure you expose your students to the curriculum, slowly and gradually increase the content. So we can also do it like that if we can. 20 marks for the midterm, 40 marks, sorry, 20 marks for the periodic test 1, and then 40 for the midterm and 80 for the post midterm. That is entirely up to you how you want to do it. There are no hard and fast guidelines by CBSE for it, but make sure you calculate the percentage accordingly and give the students a proper weightage out of 5 marks, right? And if I talk about 5 marks for the multiple assessment, number of assessments, like based on different learning styles for our students, we conduct the entire year. So there is a separate video on different sorts of multiple assessments too. I'll be sharing the link in the description box below. Don't forget to check it out. You will be able to get to know about what sort of multiple assessments we can conduct throughout the year, right? And if we talk about the portfolio, again, it is of 5 marks. And for that, you will again get a separate video on my channel. Please make sure you go through it. You will be able to get to know all the detail, like how the portfolio is to be made, what all chapters you can take for the portfolio. For that, you need to refer to the detailed curriculum given by CBSE. Accordingly, you can go ahead with the portfolio activity too. But my dear educators, this is clearly mentioned like portfolio activity, all the sheets, all the activities, all the events, what all happened in the classroom only, those sheets to be filed in the portfolio. Or maybe you want to go ahead with the e-portfolio, that is entirely your choice. But that should not be comprising of the homework. That should be a classroom activity done under the supervision or the guidance of the teacher, the mentor, the facilitator. And 5 marks for the lab work. Lab work is for 5 marks, and there it is clearly mentioned you have to make sure all the practicals mentioned in the syllabus to be conducted throughout the year, and number of assessments to be happen. You have to have number of assessment throughout the year for these practicals as well, right? They have not mentioned for any particular end of the year assessment for this practical. However, it is clearly mentioned throughout the year you will be conducting number of assessments for the students learning for their demonstration of various experiments mentioned in the syllabus, and the annual exam for 80 marks that I have already shared with you. So my dear educators, let us have a look at the course structure as well. For class 9th, there are basically 4 units: matter, its nature and behavior for 25 marks; organization in the living world, 22 marks; motion, source and work, 27 marks; food and food production for 6 marks. So this is how it makes 80, and internal assessment for 20 marks, and total for 100 marks. So my lovely educators, make sure as per the weightage you give due importance to the various topics and accordingly complete your syllabus. This is very important for all of you. Plan your lessons accordingly as per the annual planner. I hope you all have got your annual planners where you all have got the number of working days in each month, right? So accordingly, please make sure you have your annual plan, your monthly plan, your periodic test syllabus, how you want to go ahead with that. Sit with your colleagues, sit with the different teachers who are teaching in the parallel classes in the different sections as per the guidelines given by your HODs. Also, you sit and do plan the same. If I go ahead with the class 10 course structure, it is basically under 5 units: chemical substances, nature and behavior, world of living, natural phenomena, effects of current and natural resources. And accordingly, the weightage has been given. See, 25 for the chemical substances and the world of living, and then 12 for the natural phenomena, and 13 for effects of current, and then 5 for natural resources. Make sure you deliver your content accordingly. Planning is really very important for this entire year. You make sure you plan thoroughly, sit with your colleagues and discuss how you want to deliver the lesson and how you want to assess your students, because all the syllabus will be covered in the annual exam. If you talk about the question paper design, please have a look at it. If we talk about the competences, if we start with knowledge and understanding, the lower order thinking skills, as per Bloom's taxonomy, it is given 46% weightage for this subject of sciences. And if we talk about the application part, like how these students will be applying this knowledge and their understanding after comprehending the same in the real life situations, that is of 22%, right? And going ahead with the higher order thinking skills, or normally we say HOTS: formulate, analyze, evaluate, and create for 32%, right? And please have a look at the typology of the questions. You will be having very short answer type questions, VSA, including objective type questions, that we also say select response type questions, assertion reasoning type questions, and then short answer and the long answer questions, source-based questions, case-based, passage-based, and integrated assessment questions. And an internal choice of approximately 33% would be provided. Like number of questions will remain same. We will be discussing in the upcoming slides if it is 39 questions are there. So they have to attempt all 39 questions. However, 33% internal choice will be there for the students to select what type of question they would like to appear in. Now, just have a look at the various kinds of competences, my dear educators. 46% of the paper, as we have just discussed, will be based on knowledge and understanding of the students for the given units, for the given topics that we have already discussed under the course structure. And 22% of this will be based on their application of this knowledge and understanding in the real life situation. So this type of questions will be there. And 32% of the paper will be based on analysis, evaluation, and creation. We also call it analyzing, evaluating, and creating the HOTS, that is higher order thinking skills. So taking this into consideration, you need to plan all your periodic tests, your unit tests, your half yearly exams based on this structure only. Make sure when you plan, you please look at it about the percentage, about the different competencies that you need to focus on in the question paper. So, my lovely educators, we have been given a list of verbs also as per Bloom's taxonomy. Like for this, the first part, as you have seen in this slide, 46% of knowledge and understanding. The questions will be framed with these types of verbs. I'm saying these types of verbs because you can go beyond that also. They have just given a few words: state, name, list, identify, define, suggest, describe, outline, and summarize. See, for all these terms, you just check your students' knowledge and understanding. When they are stating something, when they are naming something, when they are answering something related to what, it means you are assessing their knowledge and understanding. When they are identifying something, they are identifying based on their understanding, based on their knowledge. They are suggesting also something based on whatever they have learned, whatever they have understood. So you can check Bloom's taxonomy verbs also, and you can incorporate more too. However, if you stick to these verbs also, that is also good enough. So, my dear educators, moving ahead to the application level, there are a few verbs given like calculate, illustrate, show, adapt, explain, distinguish, and sketch. So, this will comprise of 22% of the paper, right? And going ahead with the HOTS, that is higher order thinking skills that are based on formulation, analysis, evaluation, and creation level. There are a few words given. Verbs are interpretation, analyze, compare and contrast, examine, evaluate, discuss, or construct. So you have to frame the questions using these verbs when you are doing the same for your periodic test, for your midterm test, or any other assessment that you are taking. So make sure you take care of this weightage. So my dear educators, here is the structure of the question paper. As you can see, it will be a 3 hours paper, and I have taken it from CBSE website only and clearly mentioned sample question paper for session 23-24, subject code 086 for class 10, and maximum marks 80 for the annual pen and paper test. There will be total 39 questions divided in 5 sections, and all the questions, they are compulsory. However, there is internal choice that I have already discussed with you. A student is expected to attempt only one of the questions from the internal choice given. And section A, B, C, D, E, 5 sections will be there. Section A will consist of 20 objective type questions carrying 1 mark each. You know very well, we also talk about nowadays it is select response type questions. Students, they'll be selecting their response from the 4 options given, right? And next, section B consists of 6 very short answer type questions carrying 2 marks each, and answers to these questions should be in the range of 30 to 50 words only, right? I mean just 3 to 4 lines only, sentences only. Section C consists of 7 short answer type questions carrying 3 marks each, and answers to these questions should be in the range of 50 to 80 words. Section D consists of 3 long answer type questions carrying 5 marks each, and answers to these questions should be in the range of 80 to 120 words. Section E consists of 3 source-based or the case-based units of assessments of 5 marks each with subparts. So make sure you take all these types of questions into consideration while framing the question paper for your internal assessments, for your internal assessment, I mean your school assessment, right? I mean your periodic test, I mean your unit test, I mean your midterm exam, I mean your pre-board exams. So you need to follow the given structure by CBSE as it is there on the screen. So my dear educators, if we talk about the composition of different types of question, earlier we talked about the weightage, like based on knowledge and understanding, based on application, based on formulation, evaluation, analysis, and maybe the creation level. So here we are talking about the structure of the question paper. It comprises of 20% of select response or the objective type questions and 30% of the constructed response questions that comprises of VSA, very short answer type questions, essay, short answer type questions, and LA, long answer type questions. And 50% of the weightage is given to competency-based questions, case-based questions, source-based questions, right? So, my lovely educators, let us stick to this pattern and just gear up, pull up your socks, and accordingly help your children to fasten their seatbelt so that they can have a right to success. So, my lovely educators, please make sure to subscribe to my channel, Mentoring the Mentors, and do share your valuable suggestions in the comment box below, right? Stay tuned. We have many more things to share with you. Have a nice day.